Volume 8 Part 1. Rizel is with Yuna, Sui, Syra, and Regis. The children want to make him something nice to eat, since he's been looking weaker. Shinwoo and Akan rush off after class to buy the ingredients. Yuna and Sui wonder why they were in such a hurry. Rizel is in Frankenstein's office, when suddenly his servant sneezes. Rizel takes no notice as Frankenstein apologizes and makes Rizel some tea. The children are at Frankenstein's house visiting Rizel. Rizel is enjoying a cup of tea and listening to them argue about the recent incident, in which Shinwoo and Akan got into trouble with the local bullies. Sui is angry with the pair for lying to them about why they were late that day. Shinwoo and Akan try and get Rizel involved in order to protect themselves, by saying that his facial expression is questioning why Sui and Yuna are making such a fuss over nothing and that they should lay off them. However, this invokes even greater wrath from Sui, causing them to grimace in fear. Rizel looks on clueless about the entire situation. In one of his reports, Tao tells Rizel and Frankenstein about the loss of communication with M21. Rizel stays quiet as Frankenstein ponders over the situation with Tao. After learning that M21 might be in danger, Rizel stands to leave but Frankenstein stops him. He requests his master to stay, intending to go himself, so Rizel acquiesces. Rizel learns that M21 was in a battle with werewolves. He listens to the conversation between Frankenstein, Takeo, and Tao as they gain new information about the incident. Frankenstein informs Rizel that he will contact Muzaka to exploit his knowledge of the werewolves. Takeo is worried about M21 and wants to find him soon. Tao tells him that he's looking for traces, but he still hasn't found a single clue and adds that Frankenstein contacted Muzaka, so all they can do is wait. Takeo replies that there's no guarantee that Muzaka knows anything about M21's disappearance and that is right about them not being able to do anything but wait. Tao, Rizel, and Frankenstein are all worried about M21. Rizel and Frankenstein meet Muzaka. Frankenstein asks Muzaka to take responsibility for the disappearance of M21, and ask for the location of the werewolves' homeland. Muzaka refuses to take responsibility, just because his people were with M21 when he disappeared. Frankenstein reveals that Kentas, the werewolf he spared earlier, was also involved, and if he hadn't gotten involved at that time, then they wouldn't be in this situation. After going back and forth for a while, Rizel steps in stating that it's Muzaka's fault and he should take responsibility. Muzaka relents, but says that even though he wants to help them, he can't since he doesn't know the whereabouts of his people. Frankenstein asks if he has any ideas of a possible location. Muzaka replies that he could find out, but if he knew, he wouldn't disclose the location, since they could end up colliding with his people while they're looking for M21. Before either of them can respond, a guest arrives at the KSA, looking for Frankenstein. Lunark asks Frankenstein to help her meet Lord Muzaka, adding that he could probably reach Muzaka and if he complies with her request, she'll tell him where his companion is. She ends by suggesting he doesn't pretend he can't help her. Frankenstein smiles and tells her he'll help her right away. Lunark is taken aback as Muzaka and Rizel enter the scene. Muzaka reprimands Frankenstein for selling him out without hesitation. Frankenstein replies it was a good condition, since he doesn't have the information and that he has no intention of cooperating with them. Muzaka addresses Lunark by name and comments that he doesn't know why she was looking for him, but Rizel had called him for a meeting recently, so the timing worked out well. After learning of M21's predicament from Lunark, he decides to accompany them to the werewolves' homeland. Frankenstein protests, but Rizel tells him M21 doesn't have much time and is in a very different place than before. Frankenstein reluctantly accepts and replies that he'll go with him. Rizel, Frankenstein, Muzaka and Lunark are on their way to the werewolves' lair. Muzaka is angered by Maduk's use of their clan members for experiments. Muzaka asks Rizel if he's going to rescue the human who got abducted. Rizel replies that he is. Muzaka questions if he's really going to fight his people to save him and whether it's really worth going that far. He adds that he may be a human, but he's not a regular human without power. Rizel tells him that it's because he took M21 under his wing. Muzaka comments that Rizel has changed and wishes that Rizel would have changed sooner. The rescue team of Rizel, Frankenstein, Lunark and Muzaka are approaching the shores of the werewolves' land. Lunark announces to the group that they're almost at the werewolves' territory, and based on the energy that she's sensing, there are 4 werewolf warriors heading towards them. Frankenstein tells everyone to go on ahead, and he will deal with the warriors. Lunark is worried and Muzaka asks if Frankenstein will be okay, since there are 4 warriors heading towards them. Frankenstein reiterates that they can't waste any more time, and that rather than worrying about him, they should allow him to go berserk, and that if he's going to deal with 4 warriors, he'll have to go on a rampage, adding that it won't matter much, since Muzaka came along for the same reasons, which embarrasses Muzaka slightly. Rizel releases the seal on Frankenstein's powers, and Frankenstein gives a sadistic grin, having been given permission to go wild, and starts to release his aura. Lunark, Rizel and Muzaka are still making their way to the werewolves' territory. Muzaka informs Lunark that he didn't come to save Kentas but instead came to face Maduk and the warriors who abused their authority and sacrificed countless innocent werewolves for power. This comes as a shock to Lunark. Muzaka asks her if Maduk is at the center, something she confirms. He asks her if all the warriors excluding her and Kentas are sacrificing the weaker members of their clan for power. She confirms this to be the case as well. Muzaka is pleased that he doesn't have to ask them one by one. Lunark is unsure about what course of action to take, since she was sure that Muzaka would save Kentas. Muzaka tells Lunark that once he arrives, things will get chaotic and all of the warriors will move to catch him, so she can stop leading the way and do whatever she needs to do. Lunark realizes that Muzaka is right and that since everyone will be focused on him, she'll have the opportunity to rescue Kentas. Lunark thanks her former lord and leaves. Rizel catches up to Muzaka, as Muzaka realizes that he didn't ask Lunark for M21's location, causing Rizel to flinch. Muzaka asks what they should do, since Lunark is already long gone. Rizel breaks out in a cold sweat, as he realizes that he's lost. Kentas is exhausted and having fought Uzur insists on continuing. Uzur asks him if he's out of his mind. Kentas gets to his feet and replies that he doesn't think he can beat him, and that he's fighting to the end as a warrior for his people, who were betrayed by the Lord and the warriors they trusted to protect them. Gotara shouts to Uzur asking how long he's going to listen to Kentas spout such nonsense, and if he doesn't want to finish off Kentas, tell him and he'll do it. Before Uzur can respond, a voice asks them what's wrong, and whether it's hard for them to hear what Kentas is saying because they feel guilty. The warriors are left in shock as Muzaka and Rizel make their appearance. Rizel and Muzaka arrive at Kentas' location. Muzaka asks Kentas about M21's location. Kentas wonders if he's talking about M21, and whether the Noblesse has come to rescue M21. Kentas tells them that he was captured by a noble named Ignis, while they were making their escape, and he was taken back to the lab. Rizel is shocked by the revelation and asks for confirmation, which he gets from Kentas. Kentas tells him they destroyed several research facilities near the lab, where M21 has been taken, so he just needs to head for a place with smoke coming from it. Muzaka instructs Rizel to go on ahead.